Hi, today we're talking about 3 essential people skills of a successful business owner. The first one is to be what's called an active listener. Now, in today's high-tech, high-speed, high-stress world, communication is more important than ever, and yet we seem to devote less and less time to really listening to each other. Genuine listening has become a rare gift, and that's the gift of time. It builds relationships, it solves problems, it ensures understanding, it resolves conflicts, and it improves accuracy. And at work, effective listening means fewer errors and less wasted time. Now, here's a few tips to help you to develop effective listening skills. Number 1, get rid of distractions. Face the person that you're talking to and stop staring at your phone or your laptop or your pager and turn your bloody phone off. Look at them, even if they don't look at you. Now, in some cultures, it's disrespectful to look at each other eye to eye, but there are other ways you can let the other person know that you're focused on them. Tip number 2, be attentive but relaxed. And so now that you've made eye contact, you can relax. You can look away now and then and carry on like a normal person instead of Google. The important thing is to be attentive and don't be distracted by your own thoughts and feelings or biases. Tip number 3, keep an open mind. Listen without jumping to conclusions. Remember that the speaker is using their language to represent their thoughts and their feelings that are inside their brain. Now, you don't know what those thoughts and feelings are, and the only way you're going to find out is by listening. Tip number 4, don't interrupt. Children used to be taught that it was rude to interrupt, but I'm not sure that message is getting across anymore. We all think and speak at different rates, and if you're a quick thinker and an agile talker, the burden is on you to relax your pace for the slower, more thoughtful communicator, or for the person that's having a bit of trouble expressing themselves with ums and ahs and things like that. Tip number 5, don't impose your solutions. When listening to somebody talk about a problem, hold back from suggesting solutions. Because you know what? Most of us don't actually want your advice anyway. And if we do, we'll ask you for it. Most of us prefer to figure out our own solutions. We just need you to listen and to help us to do that. Okay? The next thing is relationship building. Building and maintaining good working relationships will not only make you stand out with your clients, but it will ensure that your business runs more effectively as well. So what are some of the things that you can do to build better relationships? Well, number 1, develop your people skills, because good relationships start with good people skills. Take an online quiz to find out how good your skills actually are and what you need to do to improve. There's hundreds of them online. People skills can be learned and they are incredibly important. The next thing to do is to identify your own relationship needs. Do you know what you need from others? And do you know what they need from you? If you can understand these needs, it will help a lot in building better relationships. What do you need to hear, for example, from clients? And the third thing is to schedule time to build relationships. Arrange meetings for a coffee with a current client or a prospective client or your suppliers, or even just the people in your workspace. Networking can be fun. Now, the freelancers I give most work to, they're the people who just swing by for a quick chat or a cup of coffee because I know they're there and they are working on building a relationship with me, and it works. Now, the next thing is to focus on your emotional intelligence, not a buzzword, this is real, okay? Among other things, it's your ability to recognize your own emotions and to clearly understand what they're telling you, which is really important in relationships. Having a high emotional intelligence level helps you understand the emotions and needs of others as well, which is obviously incredibly useful in client interactions. So once again, go and do some free online tests and just see what you can find out about your level of emotional intelligence. The next one is to appreciate others. Show your appreciation when someone helps you. I call them random acts of kindness. Everyone from your clients to your suppliers to your staff wants to feel that they're appreciated. So genuinely compliment the people around you whenever you get the chance. It is so powerful. And you know what? People never, ever get tired of it. The next one is be positive. Focus on being positive because positivity is attractive and contagious. And if you are feeling positive, the people around you will as well. And it'll help you strengthen your relationships with your clients and your suppliers and your staff. because you know what? Nobody wants to be around somebody who's negative all the time. The next thing is about managing your boundaries. So while you're out there building these relationships, make sure you set and manage boundaries properly, okay? We all want to have friends, but occasionally somebody can kind of overdo it, and you need to make sure that you are clear, firm, and respectful about claiming your own space, and it's not being invaded all the time. Okay, big three, the third one, be a clear communicator. The winner in every business situation is always the person who communicates the most clearly. Now, whether you're dealing with clients, employees, or suppliers, your ability to get what you want hinges 100% on how well you talk and write. So with that in mind, here are 5 basic rules that apply to one-on-one or one-to-many or many-to-many communications alike. Number 1, always know the why. Whenever you're communicating at work, you're wasting time and energy if you don't know the reason why the communication is taking place. So before you start any communication, ask yourself, what am I trying to accomplish? Now, even social chit-chat should have a purpose, even if it's just to build a better relationship. Now, if somebody else is starting the conversation, ask yourself, why is this conversation taking place? And if the answer isn't obvious, get to the why as soon as possible so that you know how to respond, which basically means asking them, why are we having this conversation? Okay, so understanding and focusing on the why enables you to avoid side issues and rat holes that might otherwise obscure the situation. And look, some people just open their mouths and let the wind blow their tongues around. I have been accused of that myself, and you may not have time to listen to that. So the next thing is communicate emotions in person. Don't write shitograms. You know, if you have something to tell somebody that you're angry about, either schedule a meeting, which will give you time to calm down, or schedule a call. Same. Either way, you can have the conversation you want to have with your cat first. Okay, the one where you yell and scream without creating lasting damage to important relationships. The exception to this advice is banks. You should always shout at the idiot in the bank who's screwed up your carefully delivered instructions. That's just the way it is. And if you've got great news that will get everybody fired up, it'll be much more effective and create a lot more personal energy if you deliver it in person. A group meeting to announce a big sales win, for example, is just like an instant celebration. By contrast, an email announcing the same win is a bit like an afterthought. Oh, by the way, we made a big sale. You know, you're not going to get the energy. Similarly, if you've got bad news or criticism to give to somebody, it's much better received and much more likely to be helpful if it's delivered in person. If you need to use an email, it looks like, you know, you just don't care that much, or maybe you're a coward. Okay, number 3, always communicate facts by email. Any communication that's factual should be communicated in writing for 2 important reasons. Number 1, people only retain a very small percentage of facts when they're communicated to verbally. Therefore, having a written record of these facts helps you to ensure that they don't get lost when it's time to make decisions. Now, in general, communicating facts verbally to groups is actually fairly inefficient. It's much better to use email to get everybody up to speed, and then you can have a verbal discussion about what needs to be done to be accomplished. Number 4 is to listen more than you talk or write. Generally, this rule is applied to in-person conversation, but it also applies to back and forth emails and social media posts. Perhaps 'tis better to receive than to give would be a better way of putting it. In any case, it's almost always a bad idea to dominate any conversational communication because you're motor mouthing or motor mailing. You're not learning anything. And also, when you're focused on your output, you're making the communication all about you. And in business situations, communication is never about you, it's always about the other person. And number 5, simplify your messages. Everybody in today's business world suffers from massive information overload, which creates seemingly endless confusion and stress. And if you want to cut through all the noise, make your messages as simple and as easy to digest as possible. Number 6, always check for understanding. It is truly incredible how people can misunderstand, misinterpret, miss the brain boat about nearly everything that you say when it comes to instructions. It fucking drives me crazy and I want to shout at the stupid dork on the other end. But it doesn't help. So I ask them calmly to repeat what I've told them, and we go backwards and forwards about 8 times, finally getting out all the up notions that they've created in their tiny little minds, which is so totally wrong. Then I ask them to write to me what they understand is the instruction, and after another 3 or 4 attempts, we are finally on the same page. It's not me, it's them, dorks. Number 7 is to check back. You went to the trouble of being clear and concise and checking that the communication was effective. Do yourself a favor and check back the following day. You will be staggered and distraught at how frequently you have to go through the same process again. People have bad memories. They're like trout. Trout only ever think about 3 things: sex, food, and nothing. And they can only think of one of these things at a time. And if the message has to pass between more than 2 groups, you can pretty much guarantee that it's going to get lost. There was an old First World War joke about communications, and it went like this. The front line sends a message back to HQ. Send reinforcements, we're going to advance. And by the time the message has been passed along multiple times by word of mouth, somebody at HQ gets the bizarre message, send reinforcements, we're going to a dance. But that would never happen with WhatsApp or cell phones or emails and etc. Nah, right? Not so sure about that. Anyway, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. It'll help the channel. Now, if there's anything you'd like for me to be talking about, then drop them in the comments box below. And don't forget to hit that bell icon and to be part of the notifications squad to get notified every time we upload, because I respond to all questions in the first hour. I'll see you in the next video, and I'll catch you later.